Okay, so now let's actually define the thing. What is statistics? You can see the definition on the slide. Statistics is the science of collecting, organizing, analyzing, and interpreting data so we can make informed decisions. And I want you to notice that whole chain. You collect the data, you organize it, you analyze it, you interpret it, and then you make a decision. That last part is really the whole point. Now, to talk about any of this, we need 4 important words. And these 4 words are going to come up again and again throughout the course, so let's really get them down. Let's start with population. When statisticians say population, we don't necessarily mean the population of a country or a city. We simply mean the entire group we're interested in studying. For example, if I'm studying students here at AVC, my population might be every student currently enrolled at the college. Next, we have the sample. The sample is the smaller group we actually collect data from. Why? Because usually we can't realistically reach everyone in the population. So instead of collecting data from every single student at AVC, maybe I survey 500 students. Those 500 students are my sample. Then we have the parameter. A parameter is a number that describes the entire population. So, for example, maybe I want to know the true average GPA of all students at AVC. That true average GPA would be a parameter. But here's the catch. The parameter is usually unknown. We often can't measure it directly because we can't collect data from every single person in the population. And that is exactly why we take samples in the first place. Finally, we have the statistic. A statistic is a number we calculate from our sample. So if I take those 500 students and calculate their average GPA, that average is a statistic. And then we use that statistic to estimate the parameter we cannot directly observe. Now, this is where students sometimes mix things up. So here's an easy trick. Ask yourself, am I talking about the whole population? Or am I talking about just the sample? Parameter goes with population. Both start with the letter P. Statistic goes with sample. Both start with the letter S. The parameter is what we want to know. The statistic is what we can actually measure, and we use the statistic to estimate the parameter. If you remember nothing else from this slide, remember that. So statistics actually splits into 2 big branches. And knowing which one you're working with matters more than you might think. The first branch is called descriptive statistics. Descriptive statistics is all about organizing and summarizing the data you already have. That includes things like tables, charts, graphs, averages, and percentages. For example, if I tell you that the average age in this class is 22.5 years, that's descriptive statistics. I'm simply describing the data that's right in front of me. I'm not making a prediction. I'm not trying to say anything beyond the data I collected. The second branch is inferential statistics. And this is where statistics becomes especially powerful. Inferential statistics is about taking information from a sample and using it to make a conclusion about a larger population. This is where we get things like hypothesis testing, confidence intervals, and predictions. Here's a really clear example. Imagine a polling organization surveys 1,500 voters and then uses that survey to predict the outcome of an election involving millions of people. That's inferential statistics. They're using a relatively small sample to say something about a much larger population that they could never realistically measure in full. And in real research, these 2 branches usually work together. First, you collect the data. Then you use descriptive statistics to summarize what you found. After that, you use inferential statistics to draw a broader conclusion. And then there's one more step that really matters. You communicate your conclusion honestly, including what you know and what you're still uncertain about. So here's a quick gut check you can always use. If someone is simply summarizing the data they already have, that's descriptive. If they're reaching beyond that data to make a claim about a larger group, that's inferential. We're going to move back and forth between these two ideas throughout the entire course. Okay, so now that we've got some of the basic vocabulary down, the natural next question is, what kind of data are we actually working with? Because it turns out, not all data is the same, and that's where we're heading next.